The night the ocean swallowed our engine, the sky didn't bother to look dramatic. No thunder, no lightning, just silence. The kind of silence that tells you no one is coming. The boat drifted like a dead thing, waves nudging it without mercy, until the hull kissed rock and everything we thought we knew about safety disappeared. By morning, we were no longer travelers. We were survivors, stranded on a piece of land the maps forgot, with nothing but salt on our lips and fear in our chests. And before this story pulls you any deeper, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the strange ways life brings broken people together, please like this video, share it with someone who loves emotional stories, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from right now. Your support keeps stories like this alive. My name is Daniel Harper, and I never planned to become someone's hope. I was a marine surveyor, the kind of man who trusted numbers more than people, charts more than promises. I had agreed to this short island-hopping trip because I needed quiet after a year that had stripped me raw. My father's death, a failed engagement, and a job that felt like it was eating my soul had pushed me toward the sea, as if salt water could rinse away regret. Emily Carter was never supposed to be part of my story. She was a last-minute passenger, a travel writer chasing one final story before quitting her career, her smile polite but distant, her eyes holding a tired kind of courage I didn't yet understand. When we realized the radio was dead and the emergency flares were useless, panic didn't arrive all at once. It crept in slowly, like a tide you ignore, until it's at your knees. The island was small, ringed by sharp rocks and stubborn palm trees, with a jungle thick enough to feel like it was watching us. We salvaged what we could from the boat, rationed water, and told ourselves that rescue would come soon. People always tell themselves that at first. The days stretched, sunburned and aching, and hope began to feel like a childish habit we should have outgrown. Emily surprised me early on. She didn't cry or collapse the way movies teach us to expect. She worked quietly, collecting rainwater, mapping the shoreline with careful steps, writing notes in a small, weather-stained journal as if documenting our suffering would somehow give it meaning. At night, when the wind cooled the sand and the stars felt close enough to touch, I noticed how her shoulders carried a weight heavier than fear. This wasn't just about survival for her. It was about proving something, maybe to herself, maybe to a world that had told her she was too soft to last. The real challenge wasn't hunger or thirst, though both gnawed at us constantly. It was the isolation, the way time lost its shape, the way silence made room for thoughts we'd spent years avoiding. I struggled with my temper, snapping at the smallest mistakes, hating myself immediately after. Emily struggled with exhaustion, her strength fading in quiet increments. More than once, I wondered if my need to stay in control was just another way of running from the truth that I was terrified of failing her. One afternoon, after a storm tore through our fragile shelter and left us soaked and shaking, something shifted between us. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but in a way that felt permanent. Emily sat on the wet sand, staring at the horizon, her journal closed for the first time. She spoke then, not with theatrical despair, but with a simple honesty that cut deeper than any scream ever could. She reduced herself to something small and human, acknowledging her limits, her fear, her need. She didn't ask for rescue or heroics. She made it clear that in this endless uncertainty, what she wanted most was connection, safety, and the steady presence of someone who wouldn't leave. Those words settled into me like an anchor. I had spent my life believing strength meant standing alone, believing that needing someone was weakness. On that island, with the sun bleeding into the sea and no promises left to make, I realized how wrong I'd been. I wasn't responsible for saving the world. I was responsible for showing up, for sharing the little strength I had, for choosing compassion over pride. From that day on, survival became something we faced together, not side by side, but intertwined. We learned each other's rhythms, anticipated moods, carried each other through the moments when despair felt heavier than hunger. I told her about my father, about the engagement ring still hidden in my bag, meant for a future that never arrived. She told me about a childhood spent proving she was more than expectations, more than labels, more than the quiet girl people underestimated. The island stripped us down to truth, and in that truth, something fragile and beautiful began to grow. Weeks passed, or maybe months. Time stopped asking to be counted. Rescue no longer felt like a guarantee, but it also stopped feeling like the only ending. We built a life from scraps and patience, finding meaning in small victories. A successful fire, a day without rain, laughter echoing off the rocks, for reasons neither of us could fully explain. Love didn't arrive like a lightning strike. It arrived like sunrise, slow and inevitable, warming places we thought would always stay cold. When the rescue boat finally appeared, cutting through the morning mist like a miracle we were no longer begging for, neither of us moved right away. Leaving the island meant returning to a world that demanded masks and deadlines and distance. It meant risking the loss of something pure that had grown in isolation. As we stepped onto the boat, soaked and thin but alive, I understood that survival hadn't just kept us breathing. It had changed us. Back home, life didn't magically become easy. Healing rarely works that way. But Emily stayed. Not because she needed saving, and not because I was some hero carved by hardship. She stayed because we had learned what it meant to choose each other without guarantees, to love without conditions, to stand together even when the ground beneath us was uncertain. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that connection can grow in the most hopeless places, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who needs a little faith restored, and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. And before this story ends, tell us in the comments what this journey made you feel, because your words matter more than you know. We weren't just trapped on an island. We were freed from everything that told us we weren't enough. And sometimes, when the world takes everything away, it leaves you with exactly what you need.